In the year 2000 in Sydney, they won 1 gold medal. It was only their 2nd gold medal in 100 years. Right? France were the most successful with 5. There was an improvement in Athens in 2004. They won 2. Right? And Australia were the most successful with 6. But then in Beijing in 2008, there was the massive step improvement. They won 8 gold medals. Right? France were the next most successful with 2. And then that performance was sustained in the London Games of 2012. They won a further 8 gold medals. Right? The next most successful were France and Australia with 1 each. Right? So 16 gold medals in 2 Olympic Games when they only had won 1 gold medal in 100 years. So how did they do it? Practice. Some would say practice, not training. I mean, look, a case study on performance improvement, right? So this is cycling. This is track cycling. Okay, so when I lived in Girona, triple your calorie burning effect. So a basic example: if you have lunch this week at IESE or you have dinner, after finishing, if you go for a walk of 10 minutes within that 30-minute time window, you go back during the day, you're in a class, or back in your office, you're killing emails, or even at night, you're just watching TV on the sofa, you'll continue burning calories at 10 times 3 or 30 minutes. Right? It's a metabolic walk, or I call this Chinese walk in honour of my Chinese friends. Right? So British Medical Journal this year, they found that walking after a meal has positive effects for the control of insulin in the body also, and controlling insulin has many different health benefits, as some of you may know, depending on your job function. Right? You know, we're suffering in society today from a type 2 pandemic of diabetes, and a lot of that is because there's surging insulin in our body. Right? It's very efficient at storing fat. Right? So just by doing a simple thing like walking after a meal can have a big benefit. I mean, even if you go, and I see this all the time, so I go to China 3-4 times a year, they always walk after a meal. You know, there's a very well-known proverb from Confucius. It says, walk 100 steps after a meal, and you'll live to be 99 years old. Right? So this is some of the ancient wisdom that modern science is backing up. So a lot of these things that we know inherently do have benefit, and they do have a place within the professional domain. Okay? You get the mental break also. It's just a small change that works for me. Also walking, I'm going to tell you a little story on walking, because this is related to weight management, so a completely different thing, but it's also the benefit of paying attention to when we walk. Because walking can be an amazing benefit, especially as you get older, right? I think there's a very famous quote in the 40s. It was one of the historians in the 1940s that was very popular. He said, I have 2 doctors, my right leg and my left, right? So often, as I said, as we get older, we tend to move less ourselves, but just if you keep up walking, this can be such a benefit, absolutely such a benefit. But anyway, walking after a meal also has a particular benefit, right? So I know you enjoy fantastic lunches here at IESE. I don't know how much time you have, but generally, even when we have lunch, we have an hour or something, right? So you can spend all that time eating, or you can take advantage and you can walk after a meal. So anecdotally, we've known that this perhaps has been of value over the years. I started looking into more detail in this a couple of years ago. I was a client, it was Telefonica, and there was a celebration dinner. Half of the people were from Telefonica, and he was playing tennis for more hours in a day than he was going to school. He didn't even want to play tennis, right? He just wanted to play football and eat potato chips. This is what he said, right, in an interview a couple of years ago. And we see this time and time again, not just with Nadal, but different sports figures. Who's this chap? Tiger Woods. On Monday we talked about focus and distraction. This guy was distracted a couple of years ago. His focus was something else in play. It wasn't the golf and his performance ran right down. So we see this time and time again. Who's this? Schumacher, right? Hopefully he makes a full recovery. And then we also have this guy. Who's this? That's easy. His name is on his card. So we see this time and time again, not just in sport, but in mathematics, in chess, in music, in many different fields. Researchers, they haven't found signs of precocious achievement until the training. So the training was the key. Right? It wasn't what they were born with, it was the training that was the key. And we often overlook that, right? We often overlook that. So going back, it's a quote, it's a very common quote, it's actually a misquote. It wasn't quite Aristotle that said this, it was one of the historians 200-300 years ago. But the point is the same, it's based on Aristotle's work, and he said we are excellence is a habit. And we often overlook our habits. Right? We look at the 5-year plan. We think of our ambitions, our goals, but we don't think about how we commute to work. We don't think about how we have breakfast in the morning, or what time we wake up, or when we unplug from email, right? So what I do in my work is try and get people to realise that thinking on this small habit level has powerful impact and powerful potential for changing other things. So, not quite Aristotle, but an interesting quote from Arnold Palmer. He said, "It's a funny thing, the more I practice, the luckier I get." So the practice is the key. So what are the things that you can practice? So, going back to the Nadal case and in sport and different fields, I don't want the takeaway for you to put your children, if you've got a young family, through a high pressure sports academy, right? So that you get a world or Olympic champion in 20 years' time. But just be convinced that if you build in positive practice and you make it consistent, and even for like a couple of minutes a day, you can transform yourself in a couple of months. And even take the challenge from now until module 2. So what I want you to think about at the end of this session, which is the last time we'll see each other. Hopefully we'll see each other again. Anyway, you know what I mean? I want you to commit to